Welcome back. Thank you. If you just joined us, so welcome. Our next session is looking at artificial intelligence and customer experience. How do we merge the two? How do we marry the two? And how can AI be used to enhance customer experience to achieve the objectives or the goals of the organization? Maybe before I hand over to the next speaker, I would like to introduce my colleague, who is my co-host here, or the moderator, who's supposed to moderate the conference going forward, and that is Ben Mukandiwa, and he's a CX expert, and he's an international speaker and a researcher. So he's going to join us going forward as the moderator of the sessions that are going to follow. So with no further ado, our first, or rather our second speaker is Poojit Rohra, or Poojit. You forgive me with the pronunciation there.
That's all right.
But he's the head of sales and for MEA, Middle East and Africa, for Veloop.io, and he's talking about AI and customer experience. Poojit, I will hand over to you.
Thanks, Zanzele. Hey, everyone. Thanks for making the time to be here. So I'm going to be talking about my experience leveraging specifically conversation AI, to improve customer experience, customer support. And I'm going to be sharing the 27 lessons I have learned till date while doing this over my career. So just sharing my screen. Do let me know once you folks are able to view the same.
Yeah.
I hope my screen is visible.
Absolutely. Looks good.
All right. Perfect. So, as I mentioned earlier, right, I'm going to talk about the 27 steps that I picked up over my career to build a delightful customer experience leveraging conversation AI, right? But just before that, a quick note about Veloop.io, right? And this is not a sponsored message. It's more of a brief note to, help you understand who the session really is for. Okay, so sometime around 2015, right, we were a B2C entity. We were running our own contact centers. We were scaling up to like 80 and then even 100 folks. And that's when we realized how customer support, customer experience, it's a very broken process, right? I mean, while, as you can see, the stat says, right, while 80% companies believe that they're providing a supreme experience, only 8% of the, customers actually believe so. And this is because it lacks personalization, just like the previous session was all about personalization, right? So this lack of AI, this lack of intelligence causes, no personalization, slow, longer turnaround times, high agent churn, and there's obviously this constant reinventing of the wheel, right? Which obviously does become a very expensive case at scale. And of course, then there are mismatched expectations, and due to the same, the losses are immense. As you can see, it leads to low NPS, high churn, low customer lifetime value, bad word of mouth, poor retention. And that's the big problem that most entities are still trying to solve. In fact, nearly 60% of customers, right, prefer self-serve scenarios when it comes to L1, L2, L3. But at the same time, they prefer a hybrid model when it comes to a complex use case. So this constant toggle in terms of how to use bots, how to use AI, where not to use AI, that's something that I want to talk about today, right? So that's exactly where Veloop comes in as an entity. We help you deploy chat AI, voice AI experiences. We're building what we call the operating system for customer support, right? To provide your end customers automated and intelligent CX over voice and chat. And we've been helping brands, with personalized, automated, contextual support at scale. Just a little bit about us. We've been around for nearly 4 or 5 years now. I mean, from our B2C story, when we went into becoming a B2B platform, it's been nearly 5 years. We're present across multiple countries, processed over 4 billion data points, and currently helping over 200 enterprises, including global banks, retailers, travel, OTAs, airlines, insurance players, name it, and we're there. So just a little bit about me before we start this session. I'm Poojit. I lead sales for Whirlloop in the Middle East and Africas. And I'm really happy that you folks are here today. Let's understand now who the session is not for, right? If customer experience is, something that you don't care about, or probably you don't have to care about, just like the latter half of this says, then this session is not for you. This is especially for those folks who are struggling to scale their support, provide personalization while scaling, provide quick turnaround times, provide efficient support, in the blink of the eye. So let's get started with the very first three lessons that I picked up while automating support for various large players across the globe, right? The very first step is to scan your existing support channels. So, go back to your traditional channels, your emails, your phone calls, your social media platforms, check out individual queries, understand exactly what your customers are saying, figure out their pain points, right? And then, of course, it comes down to analyzing your support tickets. Around these support tickets, I mean, it's a goldmine of data. You can build your entire user workflow basis the type of intents you can read from there. And of course, the third step would be, choosing your channels wisely. It's not necessary that what worked for a certain brand, right? Like, for example, maybe for a bank, WhatsApp would be a great channel to have chat banking, right? Because a lot of times people might not be able to load the app or download the app in low network regions. But when it comes to a retail entity or an e-commerce entity, building an experience within your app, at the same time, probably, using channels like WhatsApp or Telegram just to update customers, keep them informed, might make a lot more sense. So always plan the type of experience you want to build and choose your channels wisely. Now, across these channels, right, I think it's essential to understand the type of workflows that you want to automate for your customers, right? You have to ensure that you're planning for these channels, you are planning for the individual customer, the various type of journeys that you can expect or that could occur, right? And also at the same time, every channel, right, every channel also is different. Ones like app, web, etc., they tend to have a lot more interactive buttons. But on the other hand, a text-based channel like a WhatsApp or a Telegram, right, that might be a little more wordy, a little more verbose. It might expect a little more of a casual conversation happening fast, as if someone is texting their friend. So understand your users, understand your channels, and then build unique journeys across them accordingly. Now, of course, the idea is that, while you are creating these omni-channel experiences, you're building these unique experiences, you also can plan for unique personas for these channels. You will see that a lot of folks, a lot of brands, right, they tend to name their virtual assistants. They tend to give them their own persona. In some cases, the persona does differ according to the channel as well, right? And this is a call that you have to make basis your users' behavior on those channels. The user who's entering your website, probably to research or to probably make a purchase, it could be a completely different user as compared to the type of users who would probably be on, say, a social platform just talking about your product. So think about those type of pieces and then build the personas accordingly. Additionally, when you are looking to automate support, right, I think it's super important in today's day and age that you build it for multi-language at the beginning. And of course, over time, expect that this becomes a mixed language scenario. I mean, there is this increasing trend of people, probably typing in an English script, but the word could be hyper local, right? And I've seen that case plenty of times back here in India as well, where people mix up, local languages like Hindi and English. That's happened also in various other parts of the globe. So ensure that your systems are ready to understand, leverage natural language understanding, natural language processing to get the customer's intent. Now, there is obviously an ongoing process, right? I mean, automating support is not going to be a one-day job. You can release your bots initially, you can add humans as a handoff process as well. But the idea is to constantly keep improving this, right? And to do that, you need to focus on the historic data that you collect or that you process while interacting with your customers across your chat-based channels. That's the only way your AI is going to keep improving. So ensure that you have like a fortnightly or a monthly process in place, depending on your scale, of course, to identify the intent matches or the intent mismatches that occur. In what cases are the users asking for something and receiving the right response versus in what cases are your users receiving the wrong response? Get these reports down, ensure that you have a clear analysis of them, use that data to keep improving the AI and the machine learning so that you get the better results over a mature period of time. Now, another great source, right? I mean, for training or rather getting data to train your systems is of course your phone calls. So if you are saving your calls in a lossless format, it's a great idea to probably scan through them, run basic exercises like converting, say, the speech to text, using those transcribed text pieces then to break down into smaller intent buckets, and then using the same to enhance your customer experience by ensuring your machine learning models become more narrow and more intelligent, rather more business focused in this case. Also, I mean, while you are building your user workflows, you have to make sure that things are completely simple. Things, the flows have to be casual, they have to be quick, interactive, instructional. Nobody wants to read a couple of paragraphs. You have to remember that most of your users are using their mobile phone while interacting with you on any platform. So even your chat systems have to be concise, they have to be quick to go through. Also, I mean, this is clearly the main three steps, right? How do you ensure that your customers are receiving a super personalized experience over chat? Lessons number 13, 14, 15 in my slide are actually all interrelated. It's extremely important to plan your tech integrations early. So whenever you do deploy any sort of conversation AI, any sort of chat support, any voice AI, you need to understand what from your existing tech stack is going to provide a lot more value. How do you ensure that you're leveraging your CRMs, your CDPs, so that when the customer comes onto any of these channels, you don't have to ask them again and again for who they are, or confirm their details at every step, or confirm their address at every step, right? These are things that probably should just be a response and should be inferred. In this way, you're ensured that you're always updated and living in every minute of the customer. Now, next up, again, I think I've mentioned this a couple of times, but the idea is that you have to ensure that your workflows, right, they're structured in a way that it becomes easy for a user to go from point A in a journey to point B. Let's take an example of, if your users come onto chat looking for a refund or probably to cancel an order, you need to understand that this process needs to be less than 5 steps for them. In fact, nearly 50% of the users, if dragged beyond 5 steps to reach their goals, they tend to drop off your chat systems. And that's definitely not a number that you want to live with. So if in case a user has come in, right, you need to ensure that it's structured and contextual in a way that if they say, hey, where's my order? It's very obvious that the user is trying to find out about a current ongoing order that they've not received rather than some past order that has already been delivered to them. So it would probably make more sense to display or communicate to the user the orders that are in transit that they're actually looking for. Unless they have, of course, multiple orders, then check with them which one that they're actually talking about. Now, while everything is all about the AI boom lately, there's something that we have to admit. We can't completely do away with the human element. I mean, the conversation AI, chat AI, all of this can improve the customer experience. Yes, it can definitely make things faster, 100%. But its main goal is to maybe take away 60, 70, probably even 80% of the agent load over time, right? Its main job is to probably reduce the mundane L1, L2, L3 queries, which keep on increasing as you scale. So you have to ensure that for all your complex scenarios, you make smooth handoffs or smooth transitions from a AI-based bot solution to a human agent, right? And at the same time, you have to understand that whatever solution you are using, right, it's something that is as centered around your end customer as it is around your agent. It needs to be a equal win-win for both. This is so that your agent's productivity is always up. They find it much more easier to use these solutions to make their day much more productive, much more user friendly. At the same time, whenever they do pick up, the complex solutions, right, the complex scenarios that they receive, any one of those extremely difficult queries that are very specific to one user that happen one off, in that case, the agent has to come in, and of course the systems can continue learning from the agent's experience there as well. Now, just wanted to highlight a few things that we should rather avoid, right, when you are using conversation AI to build support or to deploy bots across your channels. uh, don't try and do too many use cases at once. Don't try and even deploy across multiple channels at once. I think we've seen some of the best results when you deploy maybe some of the core use cases, right? When you And I'm going to go back to the initial slides where I said that you need to analyze the queries that you get. You need to understand what is it that your customers are exactly saying. Now, basis those queries, you have to understand what are your core use cases. What percentage of customers actually come to you for a particular type of query? Build according to those use cases. Have a release timeline set up, right? Understand that these are your priorities. And once you obviously do go live, right, the idea is that you don't have to end up slacking post that. This is going to be a continuous process. You can add more channels, you can experiment with more use cases, understand from the users how they are reacting to certain types of use cases made available. Are they able to achieve the desired goals or the desired outcomes? If not, how do we change those up really quick? So these are things to definitely keep in mind. And like I said, don't go gung-ho or in just one go, or don't even slack after you've done your first release. Expect this to be an ongoing process for a good amount of time till you stabilize. And one thing I highly recommend to everyone out there, don't go searching for a playbook. I mean, uh, what worked for someone might not work for you. It's not a necessity. Maybe you'll find people who give you advice with regard to work that they've done with other people in the same field or with similar audiences. But at the end of the day, it's your own data that will help you understand how to use conversation AI the best. And finally, the last three lessons, you have to avoid using too many emojis, information overload, too many images. While yes, interactivity is a must, but I mean, you need to understand that sometimes too much can overwhelm a customer as well. Collecting CSAT and feedback, right? I think it's very important to constantly run surveys, constantly collect, customer satisfaction scores and get feedback from users. At the end of the day, they're the best soundboard to understand the experience that you are giving them. And of course, my favorite one, avoid finding the cheapest vendor. And the reason I'm saying this is because, you need to find someone who has done this, who values you, who gets you equally invested into the project, right? Who gets you equally invested in the movement while deploying something like this. Everything else doesn't matter. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you end up saving a lot when you go in for the best quality in terms of customer support. Here are some of the results, from customers that we've been working with across the globe. So there is Canmo Group, which is the largest retail group in Southeast Asia. They run over 20 plus brands, including Coach, Mother Care, Mama Earth, and bunch of others, which I'm not able to recollect right now. But yeah, they run basically 20 plus brands across multiple languages. Ever since that, they deployed conversation AI across channels like WhatsApp, web, mobile app. They've seen some tremendous results, a growth in customer engagement. The bot deflection rate has definitely helped them reduce their contact center costs by a lot. And of course, the increase in first response time to customers. So customers kept coming back due to the delightful support that they received. And of course, there's Nykaa, a company that just recently went public. This is a very special story. So Nykaa was amongst our first customers. This is when they were a very small e-commerce startup back in India. Since then, they've scaled to doing nearly 10 million chats. And today the company is public. We've ensured that their deflection rate has remained 92%, which means that out of 100% of the queries that come in, 92% of the queries are taken care of by the conversation AI. The customer engagement has improved, drastically kept their contact center costs in check, and definitely a very proud moment for us. In case you forgot about me, that's me again. You can grab my details. And I really want to thank everyone for being here. Over to Zanzele for the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Poojit, for that informative presentation there. I like that you said we should keep the human element. Means AI needs humans, so
Of course.
should keep the human element. That is very, very important. If you have questions, please feel free. Poojit will be able to address those questions. I think someone says here, what? Sorry, I think
Yeah, I
showing
think
this
they're
one
asking if it's
says,
like chatbots. Yes.
yeah,
So,
like chatbots. Yeah.
yeah, so chatbots are part of the process, right? I mean, it's a lot more than that. Basically, like what we are trying to develop is a holistic system or an operating system for customer support. So you'll get chatbots, you'd get AI for, chat, for voice, as well as live chat and agent assist. What are the tech options used by Overloop? So we basically use our own models. You can choose between chat and voice, yes. The platform anyways comes with live chat because like Zenzele repeated, we don't want to do completely away with the human element. We always want to have that option and window open for a brand to let their human agents also participate in the more complex scenarios. The end goal is that rather than using multiple tools, we give you a single platform, a single window where your agents can come in, where you have your AI as well, and everything is in unison.
Okay. Thank you so much, Poojit. I think that's it. Thank you. We'll be back shortly. Please don't go away.
Sure.
Thank you.